I've got an amazing idea. When they approach, we run away. Sir, you're a genius.
It sounds like a joke,
Yeah, but
it was actually the tactic of fighting Napoleon for the rest of his life, and it worked like magic.
Yeah, they said that in the Epic History series as well, that there was like an official order, like just don't fight him.
Yeah.
Whenever
we
it's
can fight everyone else, all his marshals,
Yeah.
but don't fight Napoleon.
Yeah.
Hello guys,
Hi everyone,
I am Valdemar,
and I'm Veronica.
and finally we can watch this video. I've been waiting a long time to show this video to Veronica and to react with her for you. It's Oversimplified and it's Napoleonic Wars, finally.
Finally, we arrive at the point in history where we can see this.
Yes, and I have a title for this video already.
You already have a title for this
Yes,
video?
and the title will be Napoleon Experts React to.
Ah, okay, because we've watched so much.
Well, now we can say that we are experts.
But that's kind of true though. Like we will probably know more than the general audience of this video.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because we have seen the whole Epic History series about Napoleon. If you don't know, and if you've just started tuning into us, then yes, we have, and you can.
Yeah,
watch it as well.
you can watch it with us if
Well,
you
not
want.
the entire one. We still have to watch like the extras of it, but we've watched the entire story.
Yeah, from the beginning until his death.
Yes.
We already covered everything on our channel.
mention it like that.
We covered everything. The series was made by Epic History. It's a great series.
It's an epic
recommend
series.
it. Epic, yeah. I recommend it. I cannot recommend it enough to be honest. It's tremendously good. And if you are into history, then I think it's a must watch.
Yeah, then what are you doing if you're not watching it? You should watch it immediately.
And I mentioned a couple of times during our series that I know some things, and I learned them mostly from this video by Oversimplified. So this is a video that I have seen already, but Veronica has not. And this is part 1. We will watch part 2 also, and it will be uploaded, I think, day after or like 2 days after, but I guess...
Close by.
Close, yeah. So it's a long video, so let's just start.
Yeah, you have seen it before, right?
Yeah, it's very
Many
good.
times.
Yeah.
Many times.
Many times, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I watch Oversimplified when I'm bored.
Sometimes, yeah, Valdemar was supposed to be editing the other day, and I went in and he was watching this video by Oversimplified, so... But I haven't seen it, so let's see it for the first time with me, and for the 100th time with Valdemar.
Possible by NordVPN. Stay safe online by clicking the link below and get a huge discount off a 2-year plan with a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. Also, why not grab yourself a character pin of the little corporal himself before they sell out? And big shout out to the patrons. Head on over to learn about benefits such as Discord access and maybe even a little behind-the-scenes content.
We have membership
Okay,
as well.
Mrs. Bonaparte, this is it. One last push.
$1.99.
Congratulations! It's a general. Oh, and here comes the rest of the army now. Did you just say the rest of the army?
Oh my god! Oh my god, and the horse!
That's your grandma.
The horse?
History is full of...
Where's my grandma the horse?
No, the woman.
Who is the horse? Oh my god!
Oh, I will explain it to you later. Okay. Forget about it. Let's focus on the video.
Okay, let's go.
Great conquerors, many with very impressive origin stories. For example, Alexander the Great was the son of a king. Julius Caesar came from an aristocratic family that descended from a goddess. Great conquerors don't usually come from relatively insignificant families living on impoverished islands. But as it just so happens, that is where our story begins. In the early 18th century, the island of Corsica was a part of the Republic of Genoa, until one day Corsica said, hey, we're declaring independence, and it's probably not worth your time to try and stop us. So Genoa said, you're right, it isn't worth their time. Hey France, you want to buy this island? And France said, sure thing. And thus, Corsica became France, just in time for Napoleon to be born French. Many Corsicans didn't appreciate their new conquerors, however, and from an early age, Napoleon developed some fairly anti-French sentiments.
I love him being
Napoleon's
small
dad,
general.
however, quickly embraced his new French overlords, which created
Bonjour,
some
mon bro.
tension between dad and son. Ooh, look at me. I'm dad. I wear powdered wigs and silver-buckled shoes, and I'm a traitor to the Corsican people. Go to your room, Napoleon. No, you go to your room, dad. Okay. On the other hand, Napoleon adored his mother, who was definitely the disciplinarian of the family. And even though she would punish Napoleon severely, he kind of respected that. But Napoleon's parents wanted the best for their family. And since they were of very minor nobility, they were able to have Napoleon sent off to the shining lights and rat-infested sewage puddles of the big city. Napoleon went to military school in France. Okay,
We know
Napoleon,
that.
why don't you introduce yourself to your new classmates? Well, I'm Napoleon, and I hate all of you. Your farts smell like cheese, you can't pronounce the letter R, all you do is go on strike, and you call eggs oofs like a bunch of big dumb idiot dingleberries.
Dingleberries.
Okay.
Jesus.
Thanks, Napoleon. I hope you like being bullied. And bullied he was.
But I know that I made this comparison many times, but I forgot about it. But it's very similar to Hitler's situation, because Hitler was the Austrian, but his father was very much into Austria and so on. He was the Austrian government official. So that's why Napoleon, to be contrary to his father, he was very much pro-Germany. And he felt like he is a German and he doesn't like being Austrian.
And the things men will do to be contrary to their fathers.
Yeah, and you have similar situation here, but I know that later it will change, but you have the same thing.
Yeah.
Father is very much into being French, and the son is, no, I'm Corsican. Well,
They picked on him for his Corsican accent, his family's lack of wealth, and it probably didn't help that he also had a bit of a chip on his shoulder, but he could hold his own, and on an average day, might be found dishing out ratatouille sandwiches for breakfast. He spent much of his time alone, and he loved reading about the great conquerors of history. He learned about Julius Caesar, and he wondered if one day he too might have a pizza franchise named after him. He excelled at math and geography, and when he graduated at the age of 16, he was made second lieutenant in an artillery regiment. Now, second lieutenant might sound pretty sweet to a screw-up like you, but Napoleon had a little something called ambition. Stonks of it. And he wasn't content being just some junior officer. He wanted to rise the ranks. Unfortunately for him, that would be a little difficult. Well, Napoleon, I've reviewed your application. It's clear you're very skilled and would be a perfect fit for the promotion. And Simeon, you're just about the biggest idiot I've ever seen. Your test results suggest you have the mental aptitude of a senile earthworm, and in the part of the form where you list your experience, you seem to have drawn a picture of a gerbil giving birth to a shoe. But your dad is the Marquis de la Fufayette, so you get the job. French society was just too closed off. Positions were handed out based on nobility, not talent, and the young Napoleon probably felt stuck. Wouldn't it be nice if, say, a revolution came along and changed all of that? Well, what are the chances? The French Revolution is here. Bastille
Oh, you
toppling,
see
head
him
chopping,
floating in the
king
barrel.
pumping. The revolution promised to do away with the old social hierarchy and make everyone a little more equal. Napoleon may not have cared much for the violent mobs, but if it meant he could rise the ranks, he was in. He began fighting to defend the revolution. He put down a British-sponsored counter-revolution in Toulon and got promoted. He put down a royalist uprising in Paris and got promoted. And as his military prowess became more recognized, he was even given his very own army. It was
Yay! We
astonishing
remember that,
progress
right?
for such a young man of
first
humble
one.
origins. And Napoleon's wildest dreams were coming true. But Napoleon also believed he could increase his social status if he married an older rich lady. And so around this time, Napoleon went on the prowl. However, if some sources are to be believed, he was a verified creep. He reportedly had terrible luck with women, and most wanted nothing to do with him. Fortunately, he eventually met Josephine, an aging single mother who was deeply in debt and needed stability, so she agreed to marry him despite finding him intensely disgusting. Napoleon, you dirty dog, you've done it. Unbeknownst to Napoleon, however, Josephine had a bit of a promiscuous reputation. Hey,
Yeah.
Napoleon, I hear you're marrying Josephine. Boy, she sure is a great kisser. That's right. Hey, wait, what do you mean she's a great kisser? Hey, Hugo, you hear Napoleon's marrying Josephine? Wow, she sure is a great kisser. Now hang on just a minute. Hey, everyone, Napoleon's marrying Josephine. Oh, yeah, she sure is a great kisser.
Poor guy.
Poor guy.
Oh, for goodness sake, is there anyone here who hasn't kissed my wife? Yeah, you. As Napoleon fell madly in love with his new wife, she fell madly in love with a man named Hippolyte. It wouldn't be long,
Sure.
however, before
Hippolyte.
Napoleon would leave home and go to war. Because while France was having its revolution, tensions in Europe were rising. Hey, Austria, you'll never guess what we just did. What's that, France? I got 2 words for you. Revolution. We totally just socked it to our monarchy. What? Dude, the rest of us are monarchies. You've just totally threatened the balance of power in Europe. Now we have to worry about our stinky peasants rising up against us. I mean, holy hell, your queen is... Okay, France, this is pretty awkward. And the rest of Europe is probably itching to give you a wedgie. But you're not ready for a war yet. So you gotta be cool, man. It's absolutely crucial that you say something to defuse the situation right now. Preposterous! I declare war. Sacre bleu! So France ended up at war with basically the rest of Europe, and the War of the First Coalition began. At first, France...
I was talking about this in our series, but it's crazy to think about it, that the whole reason why they declared war and they sent, like regular normal people to fight was because the rich ones, the monarchy,
They didn't want to lose the privileges.
Yes, they feel threatened.
Yeah.
So they send all those little guys who would probably do better if the revolution was happening in their country
To fight
as
for
well.
their interests.
Yeah. And it's crazy when you think about Europe. It wasn't that.
Oh, sorry.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, and I know how you said. I remember how you said that. Like, it's also crazy that all of the things that they didn't have in common in those countries, and it was not that important. We're like, oh, you remember like all these big ideological things that we could never agree on. Let's make sure that we can still enjoy the parties that we have, because this is being threatened right now.
Yeah, and now you have whole Europe, like allied against France, and all those countries that normally would not be allies, like Germany, Great Britain, Russia later, Austria. They were like, yeah, we put everything aside, but we need to do something with this country that is executing monarchs.
Yeah. Because
So we will send all those little guys to die for us. It's really is something else.
France ended up at war with basically the rest of Europe, and the War of the First Coalition began. At first, France struggled, but then they started to do surprisingly well, and in many conquered territories, they began to establish sister republics, exporting their revolutionary ideas across Europe. In 1796, they planned a 3-pronged attack to take Vienna and knock Austria out of the war, with 2 magnificent armies in the north to kick ass, and Napoleon in the south as a bit of a diversion. For the first time, Napoleon would lead a military campaign. This was his chance to prove himself, to be somebody. And what a general he proved to be. The army he was given were demoralized, lacking equipment, and underpaid. But Napoleon galvanized them with inspirational speeches, and he took them
I'm just
into
nodding
Italy.
all the time.
He was outnumbered, and his campaign was partially meant to be a sideshow, but he made it the main show. While the 2 northern armies were being held back, Napoleon made staggering progress. In a signature Napoleon move, he masterfully split his enemies into 2 and took them on separately, knocking Sardinia out of the war and putting the Austrians on the run. At the famous Battle of Lodi, he was in the fray, aiming the cannons himself, getting covered in mud, and earning the total respect of his men. They respected him so much that when he ordered an almost suicidal assault on the only bridge in town, his men threw themselves at it and took it despite fierce Austrian resistance. For Napoleon, it was all he needed to confirm that he was the greatest human who had ever existed. Wow, Napoleon.
And so became his journey with inspirational quotes that would continue until the end of his life.
Yes. In this epic history, there is like a tremendous amount of the quotes of Napoleon. And he really was, he spent as much time fighting wars as he did
coming up with the mad metaphors.
Mostly about himself.
Mostly about himself. And God, sometimes. And himself in relation to God.
You're pretty great at this military stuff. Just be careful your head doesn't get too big. What did you just say to me, you little prick? And as Napoleon swept through northern Italy, the Italians cheered his arrival. Yes, I'm here to liberate you from your cruel
And he made the
Austrian
constitution for them.
oppressors.
Right? He made the constitution for them, right?
And replaced them
Later,
with French ones.
I think.
Napoleon plundered as he went, sending riches back to France to help its economy, but also paying his men the first real money they'd seen in years. The Pope had been supporting the Austrians, so Napoleon briefly went to go give him a slap. And as he began to approach Vienna, the exhausted Austrians were forced to make peace, with Napoleon overseeing negotiations himself. He had just single-handedly knocked Austria out of the war. And by the way, he was only 28. So maybe it's about time you moved out of your dad's attic. In the Italian territories
thanks.
he had conquered, Napoleon established new French sister republics, even writing constitutions and
Oh, yes,
organizing
yes.
governments himself.
No.
Not
Well, I
something
know
a
things.
general generally does. When he got back to France, he was hailed as a hero, and the extremely unpopular government were concerned he might get some power-hungry ideas. So they agreed he should go far away from France to Egypt, where he could maybe undermine British access to India. Napoleon
Maybe.
was eager to win more glory, so he brought with him a team of scholars, and he was like, whoa, it's a freaky man cat. Whoa, it's a big stick. Whoa, it's an ugly horse. Whoa, it's a stumpy little manlet. Hey, I'm actually average height for the time. But then British Admiral Nelson came down and wrecked his fleet, and an Anglo-Ottoman
That was a
force
very good
defeated him
battle
at
that we've
Ypres.
seen.
So Napoleon abandoned his men and went back to France.
Yeah.
His campaign in Egypt hadn't gone quite as planned.
it went good.
But one thing
They
you
did
should
really
know
cut
about
it short.
Napoleon was that he was a skilled propagandist. He published his own newspapers that sometimes exaggerated his achievements, and even commissioned paintings that generally made him look cool. So when he returned to Paris, he was yet again hailed as a hero, and he began to get some power-hungry ideas. First, however, he had a bit of a problem to deal with. See, he had learned something shocking about his dear wife. Really, Josephine? This guy? I'm just as tall as him. I'm sorry, I swear. Now that you're becoming famous, I'll never do it again. Make sure you don't. I've never stooped so low as to cheat on you. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll be in this room consulting my generals for the next 30 minutes. And by consulting, I mean boinking. By my generals, I mean this woman. And by 30 minutes, I mean 2 seconds. Having dealt
True
with his
story.
wife, Napoleon was then approached by a very influential politician who said he had an idea. He wanted to stage a coup against the deeply unpopular government and needed the extremely popular Napoleon's help. And
I think this is the time that I will for hating the Napoleon movie by Ridley Scott,
Oh, yes.
because I haven't done this in this video already.
we
But
have done
I-
it extensively in the series.
Yes, it was the biggest disappointment of that year for me, because I've been waiting for this movie for like since I seen the first trailer, and then when it came out, I watched it like in the first days, and yes, it was horrible. It was actually horrible. And when they are talking about all those stuff that is happening right now, and then I remember how they executed that in the movie.
Yeah, and when we saw the battles, like in the videos by the Epic History, where there's just maps moving on the little flags moving on the map, and that was 100 times more gripping than anything that has happened in the movie.
Yeah.
And the whole movie is just about Josephine, and like Napoleon doesn't spend like 5 minutes of the movie time being brilliant. You have no idea why these people are following him, because he's just very strange
And
acting guy.
autistic.
Yes, also that.
And this the whole political aspect is like completely thrown out of the movie. Like at one point they took control of the country, but you really don't know how this happened.
Yeah, and like his whole military brilliance is encapsulated in this one scene when he like stands on the map and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna do this and do this," and it's like by the end, and you're like, so this is why you have been following this guy, but also this is the plan that you're going to outline that will actually fail. So by the end of the movie, you are not sure why he was ever an emperor.
So again, Epic History series. If you want to learn more about Napoleon,
That should be streamed in the cinemas, not the movie.
yeah.
Or this one
Napoleon
is
thought that
pretty cool
was just
too.
the darn tootinest idea. The plan was to trap the government and convince them to voluntarily give up their power. And here's how they did it. Hey guys, oh my gosh, quick! There's a dangerous Jacobin plot to overthrow you, which we definitely aren't just making up. Better get inside this cage so we can protect you. Okay. Gentlemen, we got him. In this case, the cage was an isolated palace outside of Paris, with no one around but Napoleon and his army.
Do you
With
remember
the
that?
government inside, Napoleon then entered, and a pretty chaotic event ensued, during which the government didn't seem entirely sure what was going on, Napoleon's men didn't seem entirely sure what was going on, and Napoleon himself didn't seem entirely sure what was going on. But thankfully, Napoleon's brother Lucien, president of the lower house,
He had
managed
that
to regain
super
control,
killer line,
and the
do you
remaining
remember it?
councilmen were intimidated into creating a new constitution.
I wonder if
And
they
thus,
say it.
a new government was
No.
formed, this time with 3 consuls in charge. But after Napoleon did some rewriting, in the end, there was really only one man in charge, the first consul, him. And over the next few years, he worked to consolidate even more power, and essentially became a dictator in total control of France. And by the way, he was only 30, so maybe it's about time you washed your disgusting bedsheets. France was now ruled by possibly the greatest military leader of the time. Possibly the greatest? Or definitely? Well, now is his chance to prove it. See, back when Napoleon was still in Egypt, being Indiana Jones. Back home, France was in France, being France. They had conquered even more territory.
Yes, they didn't mention that in this video, but now he showed this, that they found the Rosetta Stone
Yes.
when he was in Egypt, and it was the stone that allowed us to decipher the hieroglyphs. So it's like kind of an important thing that
Yeah, they
Napoleon
did a lot.
despite killing people. I mean, not despite, like apart from, killing people.
Well, despite is a better word than apart from killing people, because apart from killing people, it kind of implies that killing people was also important.
It was.
Yes, but that's not. Yes, okay.
And they were like, hey, Piedmont, you get revolutionary ideals. Hey, Switzerland, you get revolutionary ideals. And Rome, you get revolutionary ideals. Everybody gets revolutionary. Oh, hey, guys, nice sledgehammers. And Naples, very cool nail gun. You guys here to get some revolutionary ideals? As France was still spreading the revolution, and with Napoleon busy in Egypt, the European powers felt the time was right for round 2, and the war of the Second Coalition began. And this time, their big bad boy buddy Russia was here to bang some French boys back to Bordeaux. And bang them. They did. France got blasted. But then Russia pulled out after stalling in Switzerland, and now that Napoleon was in charge of the country, he was ready to start blasting right back. He took command of the army of the reserve, and he brought the fight to the Austrians. Now, there are many traits that made Napoleon a great military leader. I already mentioned one of them, how he was one of the boys and commanded the total loyalty of his men. But now we see a second reason, the element of surprise. In 1800, Napoleon moved to Geneva, and it looked like he was probably going to take on the Austrian forces in Germany. There's no way he'd be crazy enough to move his entire army south through the Alps as a surprise attack on the Austrians besieging Genoa. Oh, Napoleon's moving his entire army south through the Alps as a surprise attack on the Austrians besieging Genoa. Napoleon's crossing of the Alps is legendary, and you may have seen one of the most famous paintings of the general, popping a sick wheelie on his majestic stallion surrounded by dangerous mountain terrain. Of course, in real life, he made the crossing on a depressed mule, but that's not as cool. When he emerged in Italy, the Austrians expected him to come break their siege, but Napoleon went for their supply line near Milan, forcing the Austrians to meet Napoleon head-on at the famous Battle of Marengo. The Austrians initially clobbered the outnumbered French, and they were like, hooray, we won. But then a few hours later, Napoleon showed up again with an even bigger army, and he clobbered them right back. Holy cow, this tiny little fun-sized French guy is running rings around us. Hey! I'm average height for the time, you jerk! Then, after General Moreau's victory at Hohenlinden, Vienna was exposed, and the Austrians again sued for peace.
They don't focus on that in this video, but in the Epic History series, there is a lot of focus on the Marshals of Napoleon. Yeah. And they are also, important guys.
Carefully chosen people.
Yeah, and they are really, competent, and Napoleon could not done it by himself. I mean, he could do a lot, I guess, because he was really...
Yeah, and on the other hand, it was often the case that wherever he wasn't, it was when things were falling apart.
But his marshals were really, loyal to him, very competent, and sometimes they were able to... They were able to win the victories by themselves.
Yeah.
Like the War of the First Coalition, the Second Coalition ended in another French victory. But in many ways, they both felt more like Napoleon victories. Only the UK remained at war with Napoleon, and they were using their powerful navy to blockade French ports and were even seizing the cargoes of neutral ships. Obviously, everyone else got pretty pissed off that the British were interfering with their trade, so in response, they formed a league, and they embargoed the UK right back. Neutral countries protecting their own interests? That's offensive. So Britain went to Copenhagen and blew a bunch of stuff up, and the league disbanded. But because the UK's economy was pretty bust, they decided to sign a treaty with France in 1802. For the first time in a long time, Europe was at peace.
Not for a long time.
Congratulations.
But it's so fascinating to see different approaches. This is so fun, and it's a nice way to also solidify the knowledge that we have, but it's also so strange. The Battle of Copenhagen is just half a sentence, and we've watched, I think, a half a long hour video about it. So it's nice that we are watching this at the end. I don't think it would be so fun if we watched this at the beginning as a hint of what's to come. I think it's better as a summary.
You would not remember it that well, you
maybe.
know? I watched it before. You don't remember, every single instance. Like now, when they say Battle of Marengo, I know what Battle of Marengo was. But before that, when I only watched this video, it was like...
It didn't stick.
I get the grasp of the events, not the details.
Oh, yeah.
Sire, you've achieved peace. Yes, Pierre, but not for long. I still don't trust those dirty Brits. Did you hear they've been calling me the bony man? What does that even mean? Keep an eye on them, would you? I can't, sire. Why not? Because they use NordVPN. How would you like to spend 12 hours a day?
I will skip this because it's been a long time ago.
Just like for the young and you. Oh yeah. Crossing the Alps, defeating the Austrians, and Europe at peace. What a meteoric rise it had been for the young Corsican. He had just taken charge of a nation that appeared to be losing a war and turned it all around, securing French gains in Europe. But there was now a big question. You see, throughout the chaotic French Revolution, French governments had struggled to keep the economy afloat. They often didn't have a whole lot of support, and they frequently came and went. Would Napoleon finally be the man who could stick around? Military victories were one thing, but could the general also govern? Spoiler alert. Yes. The economy's crumbling? Well, then why don't you have yourself a new national bank, currency reform, and improved taxation and welfare systems?
Yeah, that's French calendar
the
for some
legal
reason.
system is an incoherent mess? Well, then why don't we nicely wrap all those civil laws up into one new centralized legal code? Corrupt government officials? Throw them in the trash. Bad infrastructure? Throw it in the trash. Women's rights? Throw them in the trash. Wait, really? Well, yeah, unfortunately, while Napoleon was building on the equality of the revolution, he also largely scaled back rights for certain groups, and husbands had full legal control over their wives. But come on, ladies, maybe let men have a slice of the pie for once, okay? Napoleon further reformed education.
They didn't focus on this that much in the Epic History series. And it's like a nice addition to everything. Because we wondered, remember? We wondered if he was a good leader for the French people.
Yeah. So I guess
it's
not
it's
to
nice
the French
to
women.
have something extra. Well, for the people. Women were at the time, I think, property, right? Or something. Good old days.
Come on, ladies, maybe let men have a slice of the pie for once, okay? Napoleon further reformed education, ensuring a system based on individual ability, meaning now Simeon had to compete with everyone else, and Napoleon could get the cream of the crop to help him run the Republic. But he wasn't just building on the ideas of the revolution. The revolution had led to a lot of chaos, and Napoleon needed stability. So he rolled back a couple things, most notably with religion. The revolution had pretty much kicked the Catholic Church to the curb, but Napoleon understood that since many French citizens still considered themselves Catholic, that could be a problem. So he came to an agreement with the Pope and brought back the Church, only this time with some pretty hefty power limitations. He also ensured freedom for other religions, and is often noted for his positive treatment of Jewish people at a time of widespread anti-Semitism. But while all of this may make Napoleon sound like a pretty stand-up dude, it's good to note that he believed in religious freedom because he thought it was a powerful tool to keep the poor from eating the rich. Or something like that. Overall, Napoleon's aim was to end the chaos of the revolution and finally create a stable and prospering French republic. And in that aim, he seemed to be largely successful and generally popular with the people of France. He officially declared that the revolution is over, adding, "I am the revolution." Napoleon's head could be seen for miles. Of course, not everyone was happy with Napoleon's reforms. Conservatives felt he was too radical. Radicals felt he was too conservative. But since Napoleon was a dictator, opposition could usually be stamped out with some good old-fashioned iron fisting. In 1804, Napoleon took one last major step. After some failed attempts were made to assassinate him, he wanted to strengthen his position and ensure his dynasty could live on after him. And so he decided being first consul for life simply wasn't quite enough. He decided he should become emperor. He held a vote, asking the French people if they were cool with the idea, and they returned a definitely not rigged 99.9% in favor. The ball's on this man. And so on the 2nd of December,
well, at least he didn't make it
in
100%.
an elaborate ceremony at Notre Dame, Napoleon was made emperor. The Pope was even invited to attend, and normally he would crown an emperor. But to make sure everyone knew this wasn't some Charlemagne-style circular power division, Napoleon lifted the crown and placed it on his own head. Like I said, the ball's on this man. He was now Emperor of the French. Well, Napoleon, you were a general. Then you became first consul for life, and now you're an emperor. Is it enough yet?
But that's an interesting distinction, remember? Because normally you are Emperor of Germany, right? Emperor of Japan. But he wasn't Emperor of France, he was Emperor of French.
Yeah, of the people still.
Yeah, or maybe it was because, if the French people will be somewhere else.
Ah, yeah. He's
then
also
I'm also your
of them.
emperor.
Interesting.
Became first consul for life, and now you're an emperor. Is it enough yet? Is your ambition finally satisfied? I don't know, Pierre. What comes after emperor? I would say god, sire. You want to be a god? Yes. I'll put it down under maybe. Okay, everyone. What the hell is going on? This Corsican guy showed up out of nowhere, and he's kicking our ass. He's exporting the ideas of the French Revolution wherever he goes, and he just declared himself King of Italy and Emperor. He can't do that. I'm the Emperor. Oh, hey, fellow monarchs. I see you're having a monarch party. My invite must have got lost in the mail. I'll just set up a spot right here. Wow. You don't belong here, Napoleon. We're coming to take you down. I'd like to see you try. Whoa, I'm so scared I just pooed my pants. Hey everyone, I just pooed my pants. No, but I did just poo my pants. Before Napoleon had even declared himself emperor, the British had already redeclared war on France because both sides had been violating their previous treaty. Napoleon immediately occupied Hanover and then began making plans for a great British invasion, partially paid for by selling a huge chunk of land to the United States. Napoleon gathered his army along the English Channel, but here was the
You knew about it, the sale of the Louisiana?
Yes.
I don't remember if it was told in the series.
I think maybe not, but I knew about it.
But it was I think the largest acquisition of land by the United States, because it was a really, you saw how big it was.
Is it bigger than Alaska?
Yes.
plans for a great British invasion, partially paid for by selling a huge
You see?
Oh yeah, it is quite big. Jesus,
all
yeah.
this
All the
chunk
green
of
one.
land to the
Oh, yeah.
United States.
the blue one.
Napoleon
one.
gathered his army along the English Channel. But here was the problem. While Napoleon's powerful army would almost certainly obliterate the British on land, there was very little chance he'd actually make it across the Channel, because Britannia ruled the waves. This power dynamic would keep the two traditional enemies from engaging in much real direct combat throughout the Napoleonic Wars. However, the British had something else up their sleeve. Copious amounts of money. They were willing to throw cash at anyone who
They
would go
really
to
did,
war
right?
against
Remember?
Napoleon. And there were plenty of takers. Austria, Russia,
Yeah, remember they were handing
Naples,
out
and
that
Sweden,
and like
hoping to
alcohol
put
as well
Napoleon's
and
France back in
gifts
its
and
place,
everything.
formed the third coalition against France. The coalition forces probably thought that this time they stood a chance. They weren't prepared for the total humiliation they were about to suffer. The War of the Third Coalition was Napoleon at his best. We've already learned two ways in which Napoleon was a great military commander, but here comes one of the biggest reasons. Speed. He had reorganized his army into corps,
You
which were
remember?
themselves basically
was the golden
small
times of the
armies.
series.
Each had their own infantry, cavalry, and artillery, and as a result, was able to act more independently. They spread out through the countryside, and by living off the land, rather than relying on heavy supply trains, they were able to move extremely quickly.
It's crazy to think that something like that, which now seems like a obvious idea, was only made up in the 19th century. After like centuries of war, then finally there was this guy who was like, you know what we can do? We can like make those small armies, and then they can be more independent. And it was a game changer. Like no one thought of that in whole Europe, and he was like kicking everyone's asses because he came up with something like that.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to see these strategies being used for the first time. And then it's like, I think we also talked about it, like when you try to compare the chess players of today with the chess players before, and then if you could see, if you could first in some way give all of these military men the same knowledge, the same resources, the same access to like the strategy in the past, who would win?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like if Napoleon was a commander during like a Second World War.
Yeah. And like he wouldn't have to come up with the corpse idea or something. He would have completely different resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just his mind, right?
Right.
Rather than relying on heavy supply trains, they were able to move extremely quickly. Napoleon would traverse massive distances, outmaneuver his enemies, isolate them, and then move in for the kill before they even knew what was going on. Lightning warfare leading to total destruction. Would you like to see him do it? Here we go. Part of the coalition's plan was for the Russians to meet up with the Austrians and take on Napoleon together. Combined, they could turn the tide against him, so Napoleon needed to stop them from ever meeting. But he's all the way over in Boulogne. No problem. In a matter of weeks, Napoleon marched 200,000 men, in secret, encircling Austrian General Mack and capturing his entire army. A devastating blow. Napoleon later remarked, "I have destroyed the Austrian army by simply marching." Next, he turned to face the approaching Russians. Okay, it looks like the French are coming for us, but check this out. I've got an amazing idea. When they approach, We run away. Sir, you're a genius. The Russians began to retreat with
It sounds like a joke,
Yeah, but
it was actually the tactic of fighting Napoleon for the rest of his life, and it worked like magic.
Yeah, they said that in the Epic History series as well, that there was like an official order, like just don't fight him.
Yeah.
Whenever
we
it's
can
yeah.
fight everyone else, all his marshals,
Yeah.
but don't fight Napoleon.
Yeah.
And whenever they did, they had their asses handed to him,
Yep.
to them.
To them, yeah.
away. Sir, you're a genius. The Russians began to retreat with Napoleon giving chase, and since his tactics relied on quick victories, this could be a problem, especially because the longer the war went on, the more likely it looked other countries may join the coalition against him. But Napoleon knew the Russian Tsar, Alexander I, was young and seeking glory, so he came up with an idea to lure him in. He sent him a message. What does it say? It says, "Hello, I'm just a little baby boy, and I'm very scared." Are you talking like that, or is he? He is, sir. Why is he doing that? I don't know, but it's very cute, helpless, and vulnerable. A little baby boy, eh? Very scared, eh? Cute, eh? Boris, get my crossbow. We're going hunting. The Allied forces...
You know that there is probably like at least one person, but probably more, who watched this video and they were like convinced that this was actual letter that Napoleon sent.
No, of course not.
There has to be like one.
No, there isn't.
There has to be.
There
Like, you know that there are people who on the internet they will see the advertisement that they won a lottery because they are the 1 million person that clicked on the website and then they put all their data. Like, yeah, there are people who are sure that Napoleon sent this kind of a letter.
No.
I'm telling you.
turned to face Napoleon, who they now believed was in a vulnerable position. He was set up at Austerlitz, and to make it look like he was retreating, he had even evacuated the high ground. A thick fog set in, obscuring Napoleon's center, as the Allies took the bait and set up on the heights. From there, they spotted Napoleon's very weak-looking right flank, and they descended the heights to go get it. Little did they know, it was exactly what Napoleon was hoping they'd do. The next thing they knew, a large French force was emerging from the fog, launching a huge central assault up the hill. They swung around, crushing the Allies, and as men attempted to flee across the frozen lakes, Napoleon ordered his artillery to fire on the ice, causing an unknown number to drown. But he told me he was just a little baby boy.
Yeah, and
What
even in the
happened?
movie this was
He
not
tricked
cool
you,
in
sir.
any way.
You mean I was the little baby boy all along? It was Napoleon's masterpiece, and Austria were once again forced to make peace with France. Then, with the French conquest of Naples in 1806, the War of the Third Coalition ended as yet another Napoleon victory. This was the third time Napoleon had had to give Austrian Emperor Francis a good spanking. And so, with the peace treaty in 1805, Napoleon was determined to punish him. He was forced to give up territory, hand over significant compensation, and promised never to fight Napoleon again. For now, Russia, Sweden, and the UK remained at war with France, but none were able to offer much of a threat. And so, Napoleon got to work strengthening his grip over Europe. He gave out rule of captured territories to his family and friends, and most notably, he established a new confederation in Germany, with himself as its protector. Seeing his influence in Germany being wiped away, Emperor Francis acknowledged reality and officially dissolved the Holy Roman Empire, an entity that had existed for over 1,000 years.
It's crazy.
But it wasn't all good news for Napoleon. For one thing, Spain had earlier allied with France in 1804 because the British just couldn't help themselves from blowing up Spanish ships, and Napoleon hoped a combined French-Spanish fleet would eventually be able to invade England. Unfortunately, he received word that British Admiral Nelson had engaged his fleet at Trafalgar. Normally, naval battles looked like this, but in this...
There is an amazing video on Epic History channel about this because
called
we watched about Napoleon and at the same time we watched the Nelson series, and it was like a 3D battles, naval battles, and it was...
It's perfect.
case, Nelson did this.
Yeah.
Was it because he was an idiot? No. It's because he was a genius. He successfully punched through the Franco-Spanish line and unleashed hell. His victory ensured British control of the sea, and his death during the battle made him a legend.
He was a
Napoleon's
legend.
hopes for a future British invasion were gone. But not just
And
that.
even Napoleon respected
was
him.
also hoping to secure peace on the continent, but that wasn't looking likely because the Prussian king was under pressure from his wife. Frederick? He's established a confederation in our turf, and he told us he'd give us Hanover, but then offered it to the British. You have to declare war on him. What is it with you and war? What is it with you and being a cupcake? Go to war! Okay. In October 1806, Prussia, with its famed military tradition, joined the coalition and declared war, beginning the War of the Fourth Coalition. Unfortunately, Prussian King Frederick William III wasn't the smartest tool in the shed. Look at him over there, being all French. Makes me sick. Boys, we'll get him this time. But here's the thing. This time, we have to stick together. Do not under any circumstances face Napoleon by yourself. You all saw what happened to Austria. Hey, where'd Fred go? Hey, you jerk. Think you're some kind of big shot? Huh? Want to tango with Fred? You don't got the cojones. We're screwed. Without consulting its allies, Prussia had gone ahead and sent Napoleon an ultimatum, demanding he move all his forces out of Germany. Now, some of you watching this video probably can't even wipe your own bum yet, but even you know, you don't just send Napoleon an ultimatum. Obviously, Napoleon went in for the kill. Prussia's army was quite outdated, so when they met Napoleon at the twin battles of Jena and Auerstedt, it wasn't even close. Even Marshal Davout's heavily outnumbered corps at Auerstedt sent the Prussians running.
Yeah,
Napoleon
Marshals,
carried
like you
out a
mentioned.
ruthless pursuit of his fleeing enemy, taking Berlin and within a single month decimating the Prussian forces. Frederick William and the remnants of his army moved to the east. At this point, Napoleon's forces were pretty tired. Winter had come and conditions were miserable. He anticipated
everyone was
both
dying of
sides would
sickness.
settle into winter quarters, but Russia decided to try their hand at an unexpected winter attack. A series of brutal battles followed that took a heavy toll on both sides, including the vicious Battle of Eylau, fought in blizzard conditions. Men froze to death, and many deserted. The Russian artillery tore the French to shreds, and Napoleon himself was momentarily under risk of being captured. In the end, the French army was saved thanks to a legendary cavalry charge by Napoleon's flamboyant cavalry commander, Murat. After the horror inflicted on both sides,
Everyone knows that he was flamboyant.
Yeah, we were laughing at it because in the epic history, he was also called flamboyant every single time. And we're just wondering how flamboyant. But it's a refresher of this joke.
But it's like his first name. Like they cannot say Murat without saying flamboyant.
Flamboyant, Murat.
And I dare you to go on YouTube and I can bet. Watch like any historical video about Napoleon.
Yeah.
I can bet that when they will mention Murat, they will say flamboyant Marshal Murat.
Napoleon's flamboyant cavalry commander, Murat. After the horror inflicted on both sides, they decided it might be a good idea not to do any more fighting until after winter. Then, after winter came, and the fighting continued. The Russians were pushed back to Friedland, where Russian General Bennigsen made a bit of a blunder
All these
by
names are
positioning
familiar
himself
now.
with the Alle River to his back. The French artillery were able to pin the Russians between the river and their concentrated gunfire, a major element in Napoleon's fighting style, and many Russians drowned as they tried to escape. War of the Fourth Coalition. Victory, Napoleon.
It's crazy. 4 times the whole Europe was against them.
Yeah, and especially
he was-
here after the battle in Eylau, when it was so bloody and he had such heavy losses and his army was already tired and sick. They didn't focus on this so much here, but the comeback, it was insane.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. I really like it. I love the jokes. It's so funny.
It's like for people who are not that much into history, I think Oversimplified is like a brilliant channel to watch.
It really is.
And like now,
And even if you are
we
into
know more.
history.
We know more details about this, but even without knowing that, it's like really a condensed amount of knowledge, and he focuses on every on every coalition. So it's not like just on one, and like a quick.
Cut and going somewhere else. Yeah, he goes into details, and also his jokes are always so spot on, like with Napoleon's head that you can see from miles, or like, "Do you want to be God?" Yes, precisely, right? Precisely. So it's so good. Yeah.
47 minutes. So
Okay,
I think
so enough, I guess.
Time to wrap
Thank
this
you
up.
guys for watching with us. If you like our historical videos, we also have a membership, and it's just $1.99, and we already have like a lot of videos in the library, so you can check it out and you can join.
Yeah, we
if
have
you'd like.
entire World War I series from Epic History. Now we are watching Belisarius, and more to come.
More to come. Always.
And you can wait for the part 2 of this of Oversimplified Napoleonic Wars.
On our main channel.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.